Can you believe that football season is right around the corner? Game Day Nation begins for us on August 23rd, which is less than a month away right now. Now, what a better time than to look back with one of our Game Day Nation analysts, that is, though, Deon Thompson from Game Day Nation Basketball. Talking about his experiences on the program, he sits down with Tom Cole.
Hi, Tom Cole, the coach for BCSN, and welcome into another segment of Looking Back. And we're looking back today is very interesting for me because it's someone I'm great friends with, someone I admire immensely for his skill and his abilities and what he's done in our community, Mr. Deon Thompson. Deon, thank you for being with us on Looking Back.
Tom, thank you. And for those of you guys who don't know, I want to thank you publicly. He was the guy who gave me some knowledge in this game in terms of broadcasting. We talk about it a lot, and I'll never forget the advice you gave me. I think I was struggling when I first started, and you said, hey, just be yourself.
Right.
And I guess since 2008, I've been doing it.
No, you had all the talent. You did it all on your own, but we did kind of come up together, and we helped each other. And, you know, the basketball show that you do is so great on BCSN with Mark Kuntz, who's tremendous, and Rhett Boyd, tremendous. It's a great show. You guys have a great rapport. There's a good rapport there. You know, when you watch people on TV, you can tell when they like each other or they don't, you know?
Yes.
I mean, those aren't things that you can fake. And you guys like one another, you respect one another, you have great knowledge of the game, and that makes for a great show. Have you enjoyed it as much as it looks like on TV?
Well, I like it because, you know, they allow us to have our personalities on the show. You know, and Tom, you've done TV for a long time. Sometimes they want you to be this person, that person. It doesn't work. I find that the best TV guys are the guys who can be themselves. Like during TV season, I don't even watch sports.
Right.
Because I don't want to be influenced by this announcer. That I want my own style to come out. And Rhett and I, we both love wrestling. So that's what helps too. We have a love for professional wrestling. But we're friends and we can make jokes with each other, and it makes the show fun. And hopefully it comes across, you know, on TV that we're having a good time.
It's authentic.
Yes.
And I think that's what you're talking about. You know, I've been on shows where they'll tell one person, okay, you be for this, and of course this topic, and you be against it. Well, I'm not against it. You know, but no, but you have to be against it because Deon's for it, you know, and so I'm going to argue. I'm not going to do that because I don't. If you don't believe it,
it's hard.
Then you can't say it, you know.
Well, Tom, you and I, honestly, you were with me on this set in the early years. And I got comfortable. You know, it was hard. Like I'd be seriously nervous. Like, okay, what
you
am I
were
gonna
great.
Say?
No,
well, no, man, with the heavy hitters, I didn't want to screw it up. You know, so my job was just to kind of. All right, make sure I'm good to go.
You were great. You were yourself right from the get-go, and it's been a tremendous success. Deon, about a year ago, you went into the City League Hall of Fame. And I was privileged to be able to MC and help you in the hall. And it was a great night. I found going into that Hall of Fame, it was great that night. I mean, it's super, it's fun. But as the weeks and months and the year goes by, it starts meaning a little bit more to you. Tell us what it was like for you to go in the City League Hall of Fame.
Well, when I first, it was like, legit, like, is this, are they with the right person, you know what I mean? And then when I settled down, I was like, wow, this is amazing that people actually acknowledge your work. And like you say, the older you get, it gets better because it's like, this is something that's gonna be forever. My kids can see, grandkids, nieces, nephews, all my relatives. You know, because, you know, we always like to tell them we were decent athletes, but they don't believe it.
They don't believe it,
You know, they're like,
you gotta get the clippings out and say, hey, wait a minute, you know?
I really could jump and do all those things at one time.
Yeah, they don't believe it. That's really how it goes.
But then and then the ceremony is put together so great. You know, Lynn Gajostik does a great job.
She does a wonderful job. Yeah, she's wonderful.
But when you get there and you're sitting amongst so many great athletes and you see all their stories.
Everybody has a story, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has a story.
Yes, and you're like, man, just to be mentioned with some of the great people that were there that night, it's
a privilege.
Absolutely.
You're sitting there and you're in a little bit of awe, a lot of awe, when you hear all of their stories and you're thinking, gosh, I know when it happened to me, and I feel like, I don't know if I belong here or not.
The time I got nervous, because if you remember, they start cutting the music on. I started over-talking. And I don't like to over-talk stuff, and I was like, okay, let me shut it down.
No, you did great. You were perfect. You've always had this capability to kind of lock into a mental toughness. you know, you had injured your knee, you had a knee replacement, okay? And those are, you know, I know how the doctors post them today. They just say, you know, for them it's assembly line. You know, oh yeah, we'll get you in, we'll get you out. You know, in a week you'll be up and moving around, and you'll be great. Well, if it goes that way, I'm really happy for you. But it doesn't necessarily go that way. And you had yours done, and I think they told you it would be a year before you would be able to compete again, right?
For sure.
And it was 4.5 months. You competed and won a medal.
So,
that's mental toughness.
Yeah, so shouts out to Dr. Volvos. He was my knee doc, and also Liam Allen. He was the guy that had my parts. You know Liam. I think you coached him. So Liam is one of my jiu-jitsu students, and Dr. Volvos knew everything that I wanted to do. And fortunately for me, my PT was one of my black belts. So they knew what my goals were, but you know, having goals and executing them are two different things. So I had wrote down that my goal was to be able to compete long before the year. And this past weekend, I was fortunate enough to go to Charlotte and compete and do pretty decent. So I have to thank all those guys. I have to thank my students for that. I have to thank everybody. And it just shows, like, if you write down a goal, I'm big on that. You have to write it down where you can see it. So if you can write it down and see it every day, because there were days I really just didn't feel like doing PT, didn't feel like working out. But I was off work for like 3 months, and I wasn't just gonna sit around the house. So I just kept going, and you know, shouts out to Angela too. Hey, I know you'll be upset if I don't mention you, but like for me, I just had to see it, and I just couldn't sit around. I'm not a guy that can sit still. So.
Well, you know, I read something somewhere where somebody was saying, keep your goals to yourself, don't put them out there, and I totally disagreed with that. I think you write them down, the physical act of writing them down, where you look at it every day on a whiteboard, or, you know, I want to do this, I want to try to do this, I want to do that. And you may not get to all of them, but you've written it down, you see it, you think about it, right? And then kind of telling people that you're going to do it. It makes you...
Gives you credibility, Tom.
Yes.
You know, if you say you're going to do it, the only way to become credible is to try to execute it. And there were some things I did keep to myself, you know, as you probably saw, just in terms of what I wrote down. I wrote a scripture down. I didn't share it with anybody. That I had to look at all the time. But yeah, my goal was to show people that, you know, if you want to do it, a doctor can't tell you, the naysayers can't tell you. You just have to go out and do it, and that's what I was happy about.
You're great against the can't people. The can't people, as I call them, are the people that they'll tell you what you can't do, and they're really quick to do that. You can't do that.
For sure.
You're too tall, you're too small, you're too light, you're too heavy, you're too this, you're too that. The can't people are everywhere. But when you find somebody that's an encourager, and you're an encourager, you're honest, but you're an encourager, I think it makes a big difference. Where did you get this mental toughness, would you say, Deon?
Believe it or not, kind of growing up, and I have siblings, but they're much older than me, so I kind of grew up an only child, so I had to get creative with my mind, believe it or not. So I think just pretty much learning how to spend time with myself and working out by myself. Like, I don't need a crowd, I can go do stuff by myself. But now it's important because I have so many students looking at me that are a lot younger, and I always say, hey, we don't make excuses here, we just have to make it happen. So I can't preach that and not live it. So that holds me accountable as well.
Tom Coley, coach for Looking Back.